Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hybrid Network. My name is Luke and I'm here today with my review for Warner Bros. And DC's newest cinematic venture, Wonder Woman. Since the film won't be released entirely until June 2nd on Friday, rest assured that this is a spoiler-free review. I'll just be giving some impressions of the film without going into anything too specific. So, without further ado, let's get started. I have to say, right off the bat, Wonder Woman is probably my favorite of the DCEU movies, which surprised me quite a bit because while I wasn't a huge fan of the past three ventures Warner Bros. Had done with the DC superheroes, I found myself really enjoying this one. The story for Wonder Woman, while maybe a little run-of-the-mill, provides the perfect backspring to showcase just why Diana Prince is such an influential character in this cinematic universe. In a world that's brimming with war and despair, she manages to act as a beacon of hope for her peers around her, something I was so glad to see finally come through in some shape within this cinematic universe. Hope, belief, and trust in our fellow man are the key themes in this movie, and it left me thinking at the very least how much we can accomplish if we just put our faith in one another. Hokey? Maybe, but it's effective for a lot of the film. More than anything though, Wonder Woman shines in the cast that it brings to the table. Gal Gadot surprisingly brings in a very good performance as Diana Prince, bringing a level of fierceness, naivete, innocence, and conviction to the character. She's energetic and for the most part very entertaining in how she reacts to all of man's world, through the good moments and the bad. Chris Pine Steve Trevor brings in a decent performance as well. I think that for the most part he seems rather overly awkward in a few scenes, and it's distracting some of the time, especially in the romance scenes between him and Diana. I won't go into too much detail here, but let's just say that their romance is odd, to say the least. The rest of the supporting cast brings in very charming characters into the film, though it's unfortunate that the team Steve puts together doesn't quite do much for themselves. They're memorable, sure, but that's what makes it all the more frustrating that there wasn't more for them to do in this movie. I gotta really hammer it home that there's a few scenes in this that really felt like Diana was taking a glimpse into war, but these are few and far between, and it felt like the film could have used a bit more of this before we had to rush into the third act of the film. I also have to say on that note, while I enjoy the story for the most part, the film feels oddly paced, dragging the first chapter of the film what seems like an hour before kind of cramming the final two chapters into the last hour and a half. It's not overly distracting, but it does feel like a slow start to the movie. Speaking of which, the third act of the movie seems to fall into the sort of trap that comic book movies do today, seeming just a bit underdeveloped with revelations that don't seem to matter too much and plot threads that just kind of fizzle away to make room for the big boss fight. The action is fairly decent as well. I'm just a little bummed by the overuse of slow motion and the jumping in between fights. It really kind of makes it hard to see what's going on at certain points. Not to mention that here, the special effects aren't as great as what we've seen in the other DC Extended Universe films, and while it's not used too much, when it does show up, it's fairly noticeable, particularly in that third act. Though I'm not a huge fan of numbered rankings, I did enjoy Wonder Woman quite a bit, and if I have to give it a score, I'd probably give it a solid 7.5. It's an entertaining film, and it's definitely the best that DC has put out since the start of their cinematic universe. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Go ahead and subscribe to the Hybrid Network to stay up to date on all of our content as it comes out. My name is Luke, and I'll catch you guys next time.